3, 2, 1, and welcome back to Chasing the Racing, episode 59. And I'm joined with, I was going to say Dom Herbertson, but it's looking more like a chimney sweeper. What you been up to, lad?
Well, I'm desperate for a new job, to be fair. And I think being a do they actually still shove used to shove children down chimneys, didn't they? They clean them. Imagine that, 12-year-old smoking a woodbine going, it's been a hell of a day, mind. I had to do both breasts. Hey, that sounds rude, doesn't it?
I tell you what, mate, this is the most facial hair I've ever seen you with as well.
Bum fluff. It's not even facial hair. It's actually it's pathetic. I'm actually over the moon. I've got a layer of dirt on my face here.
He's grown it in, so on July the 4th he gets served in the pub. Because otherwise he'd be absolutely screwed.
We've been liberated. The pubs are opening, and I tell you what, that voice there, I think it's a perfect opportunity to introduce our guest there.
Yeah, we're joined by Zoe Burn from UKCLUBSPORT.
Yeah, sorry I interrupted there, didn't I?
No, you crack on, dear. You're doing a grand job.
What do you make of our new pad?
I'm loving it. That's really impressive, actually. It's a bit posh for two Geordie lads, though, isn't it?
Aye.
I'll tell you what, obviously we'll go into details, obviously, over the weekend. But she was pretty much slagging us off right about 10 minutes ago, how we've sold our souls to the corporate image, how we've stepped up the professional ladder. You're not very happy with that, Zoe. So why is that then, dear? Why is that?
You're a
Just
threat.
too posh.
You're a threat, lad.
A threat. My way, not a chance. Barely.
We've got a few bits and bobs coming for you. We did an interview a while ago. It must have been about a month ago. So I've got a feeling it might be a bit backdated because at the time, I think, of recording, we weren't sure when the BSB was going to be starting and stuff like that. But we went down to KTech HQ and I needed a little bit of work doing on my motocross bike. So we popped in and my suspension technician, Mick, was there. And it was around about 20 minutes talking about like how he got into his job, what he does over a sort of a BSB weekend, that type of thing. So we've got that coming later on. Also, we'll just bit of crack about this week. We've both been out.
The fact that you've been sacked, let's talk about that. But
it's not sacked.
What's up? I've hit a nerve there.
But yeah, we'll obviously talk about that. And we were both out on our bikes at the weekend, and we actually missed a podcast last week. It was the first time for a while where we sort of didn't do one for a week, so a bit of catching up.
Hold on, when the last one was Mackenzie's, wasn't it?
A couple of weeks ago, wasn't it?
That's a couple of weeks ago. Since I saw that
2
one
weeks
drop.
ago. Yeah, you've just been up in the trees since.
Is it
lost
really
track of time.
like that? My good God. Oh, wait, apologies for everyone trying to tune in on that side of things, but it's, well, we don't have to listen to no one. There you are, so we can do what we want. But no, honestly, thank you so much for tuning in, unless you've moved on to a different podcast, and if you are not listening, screw you. So there we go.
Never liked you.
So I tell you what we'll start with. Obviously, this weekend you're both down at Teesside for like a endurance type of thing, linked with UKCLUBSPORT. Do you want to?
Yeah, it was. I'll tell you the important stuff, and he'll just throw noises in. I've
been doing that for how many episodes now?
59.
59 episodes, so don't worry about that, Zoe. I'm pro at this now.
We were at the Free Tech Endurance race at Teesside. Now, this was a race, a 4-hour endurance race, and it happened. So racing's back on again. So just to point out, first race since the lockdown, we were there.
There we are, the first one on this great island.
That was it Hudson Kenner?
It's basically organised by Hudson Kenner and a guy called Ian Denny. And
so for our listeners out there, who's Hudson Kenner?
South African lad. He used to race in, he's done the TTs. He's raced in Superstock 1000, very competitive in Superstock 1000.
Very good Stock 1000 rider. I worked with, I've just tapped your wire. I worked with him at Splitlath Motorsport as well.
Yeah,
so
is that where he started the TT as well?
Yeah, he started the TT with Splitlath. Mm-hmm. So I worked with him for about a year or whatever it was there, so...
there we are.
And with his link to of being South African with Johnny Towers, he was very much in the sort of RST. He used to run the Trick Moto BMW,
yep.
Bright orange BMW, really sort of distinctive colour, but a hell of a rider.
He's one of the best Stock 1000 riders we've had in a long time.
Really?
I think.
He's a brilliant Stock 1000 rider.
Last time he raced in Superstock, I remember it was Knock Hill. Halfway through the meeting, he just all of a sudden just wasn't. He was like did free practice 1 and 2 or whatever, but then just didn't appear for qualifying in the race. And I think he had an altercation with the guy on the gate.
There was an altercation, and no one's seen Hudson since.
Yeah, he's never been to BSB since.
No.
I think he needed a pass or something, so he basically just blocked the entrance until he got his pass, and then I think they had a big. I don't know the details, so I don't.
That's
know
one way of doing it, though, isn't it? You know that is definitely. All right. So how many years was he doing it?
He won Stock 1000 in.
Oh, so he's won the championship then
with a team of 4.
Yeah,
he had a team of 4.
He's very much like a no BS person. He's
yeah.
great. I don't know him very well, but from what I do know him,
he's a good laugh. Actually, he is a good laugh.
He's a character.
Yeah.
And he's obviously got a sense of humour to give us a bite to go wreck on a weekend.
I presume Phil Atkinson would have been there as well.
Phil Atkinson was there, I think, on the redo things.
Now, who's Phil? Is that the son? Now, the lad who won it was a little British Talent Cup person.
That was
right?
Charlie Atkins' team.
Is that they're not related?
No, one's Atkins.
No, sorry, I know. I don't know. I just heard that name, but basically the reason I'm saying it is this little kid, right? Bit of a one of you lot, hair gel wankers, going around the place, not smiling, talking about tyre pressures. And the only time I saw him smile, right, was picking up this trophy that was bigger than him. And he's like, yeah! I'm like, oh, you're happy now, are you? All right, I see how it is.
Which we nicked, didn't we, at one point?
Of course we nicked it. He nearly cried again. There you are, bless him. Hell of a rider, though. Hell of a rider.
Back to the actual on-track action.
What it was.
How did you get on?
So, basically, it's for 125 and CBRs and things and 50 cc's. It's cheap racing. It's a good laugh. And Hudson offered us at UK Club Sport the press bike. Now, I think Dom, I don't know what Dom thought he was turning up to.
Have you ever heard of free tech racing, Chrissy? No, mate. That is the truth of it. I've heard the term. I've heard the term thrown around, but at the end, I've never really absorbed the information.
The sort of 125 street stock stuff's coming up all over. I know. I think Rob Barber's got a championship at Preston. He's organised one, and I think they're racing them somewhere else. So they are. It's a very cheap way of building a bike, racing it in a team, and just having a good laugh.
Is it a bit like the Moped Mayhem at Teesside?
There's nothing like the Moped Mayhem, Chrissy. No. That is carnage. There is literally no rules there.
So you have teams of say 3. You can have 2, I think. Fast Bikes were there, weren't they? With this, I don't know. Is that one
of your competition there?
I don't know. We don't mind Fast Bikes. No, I don't know if it was Fast Bikes.
That was an immediate shutdown.
I've done that before, haven't I?
Yeah. I've got no problem.
I really like Alistair. We actually had him on the podcast a while ago with, but yeah, I seen he was out on a Suzuki or something.
He was hoffing that thing, right? I tell you what, that is a lad, right? He's probably listening right now. He's so used to riding brand new bikes. There's no way I would have rode a brand new bike that hard. Wasn't he was just like, nah, like properly chucking in the front, chattering like mad. It was
Bruce
brilliant.
Was out with him.
Is he the one with dangerous? He had the only thing I saw was like a warning label with dangerous written across his ass. I'm like, what's all that about?
They were sort of running a 2 team, but most people have 3. So there are certain rules where I think you can only have sort of 2 BSB level riders. So you couldn't have a team with 3 Talent Cup kids on or something. And Hudson said
I feel like that was my role in the team, was very much the outsider, because you had your fellow, your colleague, like
we had our fat American.
He
just kept saying between the pair of them, I'm fatter than you on the bike. No, I'm the fattest on the bike. And we had Lissy Whitmore. So we had Dom as one of our columnists. We had Lissy Whitmore as our other, and we even had Harry, didn't we? Harry Payne made the journey over. We made a big face mask of Harry.
And we put it on Leslie's dad.
We put it on Erin first, and then Steve, Lissy's dad, decided that he was going to wear it and he was going to be known as Fat Harry. So every time a photo was taken, it was like, stop, right, get Fat Harry on.
He's quite a sturdy boy, Chrissy. He's quite a sturdy boy.
What happened on track then? How did in terms of results, how did it go?
Well,
Zoe?
We qualified 10th, which was a bit of a... Was it 30 bikes or there was
something
30?
Like that.
It was. I don't know if there was 29 or 30. I know the maximum was 30.
Right.
This is how serious it was taken. We all sort of came back from qualifying. It was an hour and a half or something where they just went out and then right 10 minutes qualifying.
That was it, and everyone was just absolutely blowing out their bagpipes, man. It was a scalding hot day.
You had a couple of teams where you had Charlie Farrer and Bradley Wilson on one. And then, obviously, Charlie Atkins on another one. And then Hudson on another one. And Phil Atkinson on another one. Different level to everybody.
But there was 2 different classes. There was like stock and then
street stock. And then
super done-up ones.
But then there's the 50s as well, which Phil was on. Like Phil Atkinson was on the 50.
Oh, for God's sake. All I know is they were running Moto 3 tyre Dunlops, right? Yeah. Which were more superior and more expensive than the bike we were actually sitting on. It was unreal, Chrissy. I was going in. I would have had
Getting
more
the excuses in. I like.
Oh
this.
no! I was just outright useless on the thing. I would have had more stability on a jet ski going down the Tyne. I swear, my life. When in the first corner hit the brake, the bloody thing worked. I nearly slingshot myself out with the front. It was funny as hell.
And apart from that track action, have you been out on the track from like in the last 2 weeks?
I've been absolutely ploughing it in, mate. And there's no excuses for me for when this all kicks off. I'm telling you, it's basically one of my kind sponsors, Southwest Arb in Scotland, has got one of them O'Varley things from Peter Hickman. Oh, mate, it's absolutely class. It's absolutely class.
So is that the 140 or the 190?
190 thing, man. It is class. Like, it's the same discipline, the way you're riding. It's a lot of feedback from the bike, and then between that, I've also been riding a little Cymoto 140 pit bike, and that is just class.
Can I just ask, have you broke any of these, Dom? Because what we never got to say was that Dom broke the bike. Dom broke the bike.
I was over the moon you asked that question because we've skipped that bit beautifully there.
Dom broke the bike. We fixed the bike. Dom went out on the bike and Dom broke the bike again. So
it just couldn't handle the extra weight that I was providing, compared to the rest of the team. No, just fueling problem, wasn't it? The carb kept clogging up, and obviously we've got the technical director of the team here. There you are. It was class, man. It went, like, all seriousness, that free tech racing. It was absolutely.
Do you know what was nice?
Track.
We got the chance to see our friends and people that we knew that we hadn't seen since last year. Just people from the and. Nobody talked about COVID. Nobody talked about anything.
The C word.
The C word on this show. No, but you were right.
But
though.
The point is, it was never. It didn't cross anyone's minds. Nobody talked about it. It was just like we'd never left. That's
it was
the point.
Absolutely brilliant. And like there was one big accident, wasn't there? Now, like that was coming into.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was one of the corners. But I tell you what, right now, this endurance event, we're not talking Le Mans 24-hour.
Big accident in terms of like a pilot
crash. Oh no, big, like there was just a big crash. Now basically it was a back
Someone
marker.
lost a finger, I think.
He got knocked off and he went straight into that, the start line. When he come before the chicane there. On a free tech. Now bear in mind these things are capable of like 70 mile an hour. You're absolutely hoffing on through this point. So Clark the course, rightly so, like red flagged, everyone came in, everyone behaved, didn't they? But it was a case of like this lad, he was knocking on the door for a fair few each, man. When he was 70 odd or something, so he's there having a good time, having an endurance event. Like I say, it's not Le Mans, it's not the TT, it's not the MotoGP final. Everyone just
going on with a missing finger. I wonder if he chops his off and puts it in his mum's freezer.
Oh, that it takes a certain breed to do those sort of things, Missy. But like the thing so anyway, the clerk of the course, rightly so, pulled everyone together and said, "Look, who's the one with the heroics?" And I tell you what, the only way I can describe this person is an utter bellend, Chrissy. He just stuck his hand up like it was no problem. It was me.
At least he held his hand up.
He held his hand up, but he's like, So
what do you mean the heroics?
So basically, someone sat him up and knocked this lad just enjoying himself straight into the barrier. He's lost a finger, unconscious, huge concussion, and he's getting bunged into a hospital where you probably get the dreaded C word. And so that to the side, this bloke standing there going, it was me, like with that attitude. It was me.
Why?
And he goes, what's your excuse? He was going too slow.
He said that.
He openly stood there in front of everyone going.
And it was everyone. It was literally everyone was pulled up onto the start.
2 metre distance, obviously. But everyone was standing there, and it was like this bloke just put his hand up again. He was going too slow. So you've nearly killed a man.
Did anybody get an awkward laugh?
The thing I couldn't, but honestly, the whole place just like. I can't believe he genuinely thought that's an excuse.
I know.
And I just went, Chrissy, I was there. I wanted to write a letter. That's how angry I was. I wanted to write a letter. I just wanted to poke him severely in the eye. But anyway, this show's not of. Let's get back on a cheery note.
That really upset me.
I was
upset you, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has, aye.
Now, I'm pretty interested in now you've been out on the Old Valley, how you found it and what's. Have you got a thumb break on that?
Not yet. No, obviously, the good thing is, I've been working with Aidan Robinson, and about just trying to calm down, to be blunt, on the bike, and you've come down as being me +1. The good thing is when you go racing, so we should never. There's a top tip for everyone: never go alone, because you might end up losing a finger, concussed in Northern Ireland like I did. So anyway, never go alone to race events. So Chrissy came along, and the good thing is he can actually ride a bike, Zoe, unlike me. So it was just little tips, and obviously tidying up the act, and then working with Aidan and like over the phone, because he can't open up his business. Now, God love him, because he writes articles for your magazine as well, doesn't he?
He does, bless him.
And you can't get any more closer to a human being than being a chiropractor. You know, you physically have to touch someone.
He did actually comment on that photograph of your arse and said he's seen that and many more parts of you, so he's clearly been very close.
Oh, that's it. He said, no, I've broken, Humpty Dumpty's fallen off the wall a few times, and Aidan's there to put you back together at ITRM. But
speaking of Aidan, I've been enjoying his. He's been doing 2 articles for Arm Pump in your magazine, like last month and this month. I've quite enjoyed that, and a few ideas that I've not really heard before as well.
What about the cycling? Dom's over the moon that he says no cycling.
I'm the only one that doesn't pedal. Your teammate, Tom Ward. He's an animal.
A lot of more, especially professional motorbike racers, are bang into the cycling now all the time, loads of miles, almost like professional cyclists.
Obscene amount of miles. Like the Irish lot are doing it. McWilliams, Seeley, and
Cal Crutchlow over the last few years. Can you remember when he lost all that weight? He just cycles the whole winter, but goes out and does like 100 mile a day or whatever, just absolutely smashing it.
Oh my God.
That's interesting, because I've worked with Tom Ward and I know he's suffered from arm pump quite badly.
Really?
So maybe if he stopped cycling, I don't know if he's fixed it now, because this was back in the Hulsel year.
Right.
He had really bad arm pump.
Have you get arm pump?
No. Have you ever struggled with arm pump?
Nah.
Chink.
I live on my own, so I've got to exercise the same way as Chrissy. You know what I mean? So.
Wait till you buy the house over the road, Dom. It's all right.
170 grand. Burnett Field's the place to be at the moment, isn't it? Gee, plenty of money thrown about the place. But so anyway, let's talk about Aidan a little bit more. What's he like to work with, then, in your opinion? What am I like to work with? Why don't you have Chrissy write an article?
Putting you on the spot a bit.
You're damn right. You're damn right. Come on, Zoe.
I don't like it when he's the presenter. Come and go back to you being the presenter.
Oh no, we're gonna get on to his situation later on. God,
Aidan's no bother. I say right.
Is that because you're scared of him because he's the size of a mountain?
No, because I don't find him scary. He's a nice man. He's a gentle giant, isn't he?
He is a gentle giant, but I'll tell you what, I think if you got on the wrong side of him, I think
I probably wouldn't know.
He's got the Vulcan death grip. You know what I mean? He could generally hurt someone. So.
He looks hard as nails when you'd cross the road if you didn't know who he was.
Good God,
I tell you what, out of all the the features that you do in your magazine, I think that's one of my favourite ones. The Aidan thing at the back. It's always something a bit interesting, quite interesting. And the new graphic designer as well is doing a great job in presenting it. It always could. I tell you, we were speaking of Phil Atkinson. As soon as I opened that page, I spotted those were Phil Atkinson's arms straight away. That is the worst. I don't know who his surgeon was for the arm pump, but I reckon he's a butcher. I've seen some people. A few of my friends actually come up to Gateshead for the arm pump surgery.
That was in the last one.
There's a doctor that does it literally just looks like a piece of string, so neat and beautiful. Phil Atkinson's goes all the way down his hat, in the middle of his hand, across like a disgusting scar. I've never seen anything like it in my life. It's like
if you did a really bad tattoo of a scar, that's what it would look like. It's like a...
Have you never seen Phil Atkinson's arm?
Last month, we've had this conversation in the kitchen. We did.
But we're not on the podcast in the kitchen, Zoe. Let's fill the...
Everybody else will know.
I don't know. Go on, tell us who he is then. I wasn't listening in the kitchen, but now that we're in a little box, Zoe.
Phil Atkinson.
Every time you two get together, you literally boil me piss. The pair of you do me head in.
Phil Atkinson is
professional.
Phil Atkinson is the busiest.
He is the busiest
bike racer in the country. He does everything he always gets a ride in the Ducatis. He used to get the ride in the Triumphs. He always races 250s. He races classic bikes. He races mini bikes. He races everything. He's out every weekend.
The first I remember him was when you were racing him in Triumph triples.
Yes, well, he used to do that every year, no matter what. But yeah, he's a great lad, real nice bloke, and I presume he'll still be doing all the. He always wins all the 250 races.
Yeah. He's won the 250 championship a few times.
Speaking of racing coming on, obviously you were telling us about paying for some entry fees coming up sometime soon. What I think it's the first club racing of the year as well. that you're out, isn't it?
Well, let's ask UK Club Sport there. Because
Let
I'll
me
tell you
tell
what,
you.
this is making the job. I think it should just be a part of the future. Chrissy, it's about time you had something else to look at on the show. I think I'm going to announce my retirement. Zoe, you're going to take the mantle.
If I come
it's
back-
not a very big mantle, let's face it. You know, you can overshadow this in a heartbeat. There you go.
Can we wait till we've had a haircut though? Because I tell you, this is the bad hair edition. I'm really worried about this. 'Cause
God.
I've got a ponytail going on, man. Look at this. It's not even a ponytail.
I thought that was a top knot at first.
I might try that. Oh yes, 11th and 12th of July.
And that's the first. Is it the
CRMC at Cadwell Park.
Cadwell Park, yeah.
first club
And-
race of the year? Is it?
ERA Derby are out at Derby in the Isle of Man. So
At the same time.
at the same weekend. So
There we go.
So you're going to Cadwell. Is it on the 350 and the 500 or something?
350, 500, 850, and then potentially a 252 stroke as well. So
Wow.
I'm going to be banging in some laps there.
And do you know if they're allowing crowd to come down?
I have no. Here we go.
Here
we go.
This is the problem. We don't know.
Because the Prime Minister of England, he's saying we're allowed to go camping now. Now, what does that even? I tell you, we're not a political
That means
show.
you can-
We have no political opinion at all. But then somehow, when it gets involved in motorcycling, we get.
Well, no.
opinionated,
At the moment, if you do 2 track days off the bounce, you're not allowed to sleep on
Yeah.
track. Where as soon as the camping's allowed, you'll be allowed to stay overnight. So, for example, on a weekend, you'd be able to go like Friday, Saturday night. Where at the moment, if you do a track day, yeah, and it was the same for I did an enduro the other day down at Hampton. It was like near Burnley, and it was well, you could do 2 days. I just did 1, but the people that were doing both days, you have to go in, drive, and then go and like drive off to, I don't know, find a
lay-by.
lay-by or something.
So that's where the parties are at.
tell you-
I'm telling you.
Dom's van's already parked in there.
I slept at I found a truck stop the other day, and I actually slept in here in the studio. But yeah, I think people are just sort of making do for now. But soon as from the 4th of July, pubs open and also overnight camping.
Can I make a note? I've made a note. Camping is at the discretion of circuits at the moment still.
Right.
So if the tracks say you can stay, I believe you'll be able to stay. Now, I don't know about the spectators.
Are the calves open and stuff like that? There won't be,
will
will
be.
there?
Well,
You know, if you went to Cadwell, wait.
I reckon there will
the
be.
calf was open at
toilets and-
Teesside, wasn't it? We didn't think it was going to be open, but
That's
I
it.
saw people with burger boxes.
But like you say, it's like the,
After you did
the
me selling.
discretion. Oh, damn right.
Well, we'll have to find out
lovely that.
about the spectating, because I'll probably if I'm not doing anything myself, I'll probably come down and
I'll
watch
come
that.
as
That's the
well.
thing, though.
We'll
It's
all
that kind
come.
of thing. But at the moment, you get the take. I don't even know. Obviously, I've read the entry regs.
The thing is,
haven't
though,
I?
I
So
mean,
it's a,
it's not going to be full for the CRMC at Cadwell Park.
Now-
You know, there's going to be plenty room for everybody to watch. We managed at Teesside. You know, we were able to watch the start of the race. Well, you wouldn't know because you were getting on the bike. There was a few people watching, and everybody was able to keep decent distance
keep the
away.
distance.
And
But
to me-
it just takes one pillock, doesn't it?
But you're going to get that pillock in Sainsbury's, aren't
You're
you?
going to get that pillock.
Well, exactly.
Period,
If-
aren't
if-
you?
if you
But
look-
it
if you
takes
think of
that
how
one
much-
pillock to ruin it for everyone.
If you think of how close people get in
It'll be
supermarkets
I
and
will be.
all that type of stuff, you think of like Cadwell Park, it's literally acres and acres of spread out woodland that you can go, you can easily socially distance, no problem. Come in your car, park whatever between each other and go off in the countryside and watch some motorbike racing. It's literally the perfect opportunity for a bit of social distancing and doing something.
As we sit here now, for example, Thundersport, they start on the 24th at Donington Park of July.
Right.
And they're still saying that they have said that it's behind closed doors. So,
Okay.
spectators. But
And-
things have changed since then. And I think every day things are changing, aren't they? So,
And BSB tests the 26th, I think,
That's
at
kind of
Donington
like
Park.
behind closed doors for you lot. Anyway, but I tell you what, right? I am not a football fan. I'm very open about that. Not
There's a
enjoying
but-
football.
there's a but
no,
coming
there's no
here.
but no. I tell you what, like this is a while ago. You know when it all? How long has it been going? A week or anyway, it's been going or something. But my dad was watching it on the telly, and he just says it was absolutely crap because there's some bloke that has to put like replicate the noise, and you just think apparently it wasn't Mario. Did you watch? Have you watched any?
I've
what
not
do you
watched
mean,
any, but-
replicate the noise?
Like, no,
As in,
so
like-
basically like a crowd noise. He's got like a crowd button, like hey, boo.
You're joking.
I'm telling you.
Match of the day. I heard.
No.
I seen a tweet about that saying
But
that there was a.
It was off time.
So it was like a really bad American sitcom with canned laughing.
That's-
Is that what it was like?
That's it, but you just imagine that. But even as a player, like obviously, I think bike racing, and we discussed this when it all kicked off, it wouldn't make any difference to us. But I tell you what, if you were in that paddock in general and there was no crowd,
Did you watch?
Be a bit eerie.
Did you watch the first Moto America?
Watched a little bit on. It kept coming up on Facebook Live, and I followed.
It was on Eurosport. I was watching it, and as a spectator, you'd not know.
Bradley Ward. He's an English rider, and I follow him on social media and stuff. I think he got a top 10, I think, in one of his races.
It was a while ago now.
Yeah, he did all right. I think
their next round's this weekend.
That's it, yeah. That's something I'm quite interested in. Actually, I would quite like to know a bit more about Moto America.
If you, it was interesting to watch because they sort of do the parc fermé at the end, so. The first, second, and third go in, and they have the camera on the jib that goes in and interviews them and stuff. And
all the mechanics have got masks and
there's
stuff.
only one mechanic allowed in to get the bike, and so you got the interviewers 10 metres away asking the questions, and then the jib goes over and the guys answer. But it worked. And as a TV spectator, you wouldn't know. Well, there's nobody stood there, but I mean, obviously, I can't imagine what it's like for the riders, like you say, to be in the paddock. I mean, when you're out, do you notice people?
I think when I went to Scarborough. Sorry, we'll jump on the Scarborough thing for a second. I think I heard rumour that
2,500.
2,500, yeah. They're allowing a lap per day, 2,500 people.
Right.
So
it's probably going to be the same 2.5 both days, I imagine, if you've got a weekend pass.
Well, I don't know. I'm only assuming so. But then you think, are they now? Is that an AC? I love this. Where when the journalists are game now, when I'm just totally speculating. But I'm assuming there is obviously an insurance policy to say you only allowed 2,500 people.
But for an
is
event,
that an ACU thing? I have no idea.
For an event like Oliver's Mount, they need the gate money, don't they?
But it's like every event.
Club racing doesn't, so we're different.
When we had Stuart on the podcast, he was saying that the sort of model of BSB doesn't really work without
a gate.
Without the gate money.
It's an entertainment business.
Yeah,
it really is.
Well, that's it. You've got the trade stands, you've got the food stands, you've got that whole infrastructure of things coming in. And
well, I tell you what, obviously by the 4th of July, this will be nearly a month after the 4th
we'll
of
be
July.
history. We'll be ancient
Pubs
history.
are open, all this. So you think surely Cadwell Park's gonna. Do you know what I mean? It sounds ridiculous that you could go into a pub and a cinema, going to watch a movie, but you can't.
You can't go to Cadwell Park to watch the classics.
Sounds mad, but hopefully we'll have more on that in the next few weeks and the next pods coming up. I just want to touch.
That's your job, by the way, Zoe.
I just want to touch on that enduro thing. I absolutely loved it. Went.
How did the? Let's talk about the serious thing here. How did the shoulder?
Yeah, good. Well, running up to the enduro a few days before, I did a bit of mountain biking in the Lake District.
You're one of them, are you?
I saw the pictures.
I see.
And then his arm pump started, and he didn't want it.
Kev, my spotter, he borrowed a
Your spotter?
Yeah.
Talk me through what a spotter is then for our listeners.
A spotter.
I know what it is, but I'm talking about we're trying to paint a picture for people.
Yeah, so as in the watch the session and say if I'm like 0.2 down in sector 2, we would go to that corner, watch me, and then watch the other riders and see if he could pick up any tips and feed that back to us, video it so we can watch the videos and see what people are doing differently. It's just trying to find those last sort of tenths.
But that's the brilliant thing about it, though. It's not as simply as you just twisting a throttle. It's like the actual the downloadable information that you need to gather, but then that's Kevin's job, isn't it?
Yeah, but so I went over to Lake District and went out in is it Coniston? Is that
Coniston Water?
Yeah, that was definitely one place that went, but we ended up doing 30 mile on these. He borrowed these 2 bikes. The one that I was riding, it's this carbon fibre electric mountain bike. Unbelievable bit of kit, $7.5 grand brand new. These things, right? Went off and did 30 miles. It's like a motocross bike in the forks and the suspension. Unbelievable bit of kit. We were going up these trails and that was really hard work on the shoulder and managed absolutely fine. Felt great. But it was like a proper test because you're hammering down these rocky trails and obviously you're
even just watching you jab around like a pillock now, you're looking considerably strong.
Yeah, and then went back to, it was actually with Kev on the enduro bike, went to Hampton, it was called. So there's the whole enduro world is just totally foreign. Billy Bolt was the first person that sort of opened it up to me, and I sort of started watching YouTube videos and stuff. But there's a Facebook group called Raw Enduro. So I joined that, and basically they put these events on, and this was just a pay and play. So you just paid £45, and you could basically just ride as much as you want all day.
That's
I think it was about a 4 or 5 mile lap in some like sort of farmers, you know, like on a moor type of thing. Designated track, so everyone's going the same way and stuff. But then there's like loads of obstacles, hills, like edges, steep declines and steep inclines. It was difficult, but I thoroughly enjoyed it, and bloody hell, it's a workout.
You're knackered the next day.
Absolutely cream crackered, because obviously the bike's heavy, so sometimes if it's stuck in a rut or whatever, you're getting off and like lifting the bike up out of these like massive ruts and over these rocks, and it's a totally different riding style. I've never ever in my life used the back brake while standing up, and it just felt so foreign at first. Do you know what I mean? Like standing up on the back brake, you would never do that in our discipline. But it's all like slow bike control, and you know, being in the right gear. And a lot of it is when you come into like say a big hill, is looking ahead to sort of find a route, and then just going for it. You cannot back out, because the worst thing you can do is like get halfway and start panicking, because then you just drop off and you end up rolling down backwards.
And how long is this? Is this just like you say, a plug and play job? So
it's pay and play.
You could just do as many laps as you wanted. So how long do you think you were staying on the bike for till you were absolutely?
I was doing 2
bollocks.
laps. I think they said 5 mile, but I think it was more 4 or 5 miles, something like that. So say 8 to 10 mile at a time of the like hard riding, coming in, you know, having a coffee or whatever, and then going back out. And I think we ended up doing something like 12 laps in the day, and that was hard work. Like,
it's about what you managed at Teesside.
Yeah.
I pushed it down pit lane.
Honestly, I know Dean Harrison's mentioned he does it before. James Hillier does it. When you get, I think McGuinness does quite a bit of it. I think it's one of those things that
never off a bike. He's the biggest bike fan going.
That once you get into it, because I pulled up and like I don't know anyone other than the people I've just mentioned that do enduro. I pulled up and there's like 100 people there all getting the enduro bikes out, and it's like their thing. And I think it's one of those things that once you get into it, you find out loads of people do it, and then you can sort of meet up and go green lane and all that type of stuff. But thoroughly enjoyed it both days, the mountain biking and the enduro, and definitely want to. I just find it so good for bike fitness, and really help my shoulder as well. Is it called proprioceptors or something? Do you know when you...
That is gone, mate. You know me by now. Come on.
When you damage a muscle...
Ring Aidan.
He's all right, eh?
It basically forgets to, you know, the movements it can do, so it's all about like feeding back. So a lot of the gym work I've been doing is good to get us to a certain point, but eventually you have to...
question, sorry. When did the gyms open? Like I can't. I haven't. No, but they're
not
opening pubs before gyms.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah. 4th of July for pubs and cinemas, but gyms
and hair salons.
Hair salons can, but nails clinicians can't within the salons.
Beauty
It's a bit complicated.
And everything. It's just
so you'll have to wait another few weeks to get your nails pampered.
Look at this, man. Look at the clip of this. I'll just go back to chimney sweeping. I'm going to actually Google that later on. I'm being serious.
Tell you what,
another money in that now, you know.
bit of news for this week. The Honda CBR, the Honda Racing BSB team, they've just announced their livery, and it's very much like a sort of stealth.
That sounds nice.
It's a black bike with a couple of stickers whacked on it.
It is, yeah. But I've got to say,
not a fan, you
got
two.
Absolutely hammered on social media.
Why?
Mate, I'll get some of the
Because somebody's
things
just went, we need a bike. Hang on, off we got in the cupboard. Yeah, that'll do. That. Our bike was just as well turned out as that on Saturday.
I would love it. I like that.
It's nice, but they could have done more.
Gloss black or
I
matte
think
black.
It's a matte.
Is it a matte?
Oh, nice.
I think it looks very much like a testing scheme.
It does.
But, you know, it's very simple, but sometimes things are understated. Or people like understatement. But anyway, if you think it's nice or not, you've got to check the comments out on the Facebook, because they are so funny.
Go on, read some out. With what names and addresses and everything.
Surely this is a test colour scheme. If not, Honda should be ashamed of this colour scheme.
Oh, wow.
Or lack of scheme. Can't wait to see Clinton's merchandise.
Lol. There's a lol on the end.
Lol.
So somebody said something about the graphic designer must have been still be on furlough. Yeah, basically, but like I said,
I suppose with the lockdown they haven't been able to get any paint.
Yeah,
someone said so.
But yeah, it's one of those where you probably love it or hate it, but it's a very simple colour scheme, and it's not. I mean, when you think of Honda, you associate Honda you associate with red, maybe red and silver, or red and white, or maybe red and a little bit of blue. It's not very traditional. But like I say, it's mind. One thing I have heard, one of my mates has just ordered the new Honda, and somebody mentioned that they had it on the dyno recently. Standard stock bike, stuck. I think they mapped it and stuck an exhaust on it. 220 brake horsepower. Which is crazy. And I spoke to Leon Haslam after the first round in Phillip Island, and he was saying one of the biggest problems with the bike is it's too powerful. Like that, the bike's giving them too much power to deal with, and it's then causing other problems. But I don't think, for a while Hondas have been very slow in a straight line. Oh, they should be anyway.
Not anymore.
Not very high horsepower stock bikes. I think the new one's supposed to be much higher. So
all right.
But yeah,
because who's on those bikes?
So in the Superbikes you've got the two Irwin brothers, Glenn and Andy,
Yes,
and then in Super Stock you've got Tom Neve and Davey Todd, and then obviously Davey Todd and Glenn are both doing the roads as well.
Is Todd doing the full championship?
Yeah, in Super Stock. Yeah.
Okay, have you got the dates in front of you for this British?
Yeah, I'll get them up.
Here we go.
Why are you asking, like?
No, I'm just wondering how close is the timetable. I remember
briefly
glancing over it.
Starting August, and it was...
Stop shaking your head.
Chris is without a ride, and you're rubbing it in by saying,
I'm
"Have you got
not-
the dates?
I'm
Have you got the
not-
dates?
I'm
Tell us
not-
the dates."
Okay,
We'll get to that. We'll get to that.
The test is the 28th of July, I think, and then the first round is the 7th to the 9th of August. And then it goes from there. It goes, is it Snetterton, Silverstone, Oulton Park, Donington Park GP, and then finishing at Brands Hatch. But let's get on to that. Obviously, my team has announced this week that they're unfortunately pulling out of the series for the 2020 season, with a view to, they've got the truck, they're getting the infrastructure.
Yeah.
But with the current climate. What's the word? Climate. Yeah. The current climate of with COVID and the
C word.
the impact that it's had on businesses and for the sponsors, it's just not been viable to do the championship this year. I think it got to a case where the team needed X amount of money to run, and Nick, the team boss, set a deadline and said, if I haven't got it by this time, then we'll just sack it and we'll get prepared for next year. And I think in the past, obviously he's very experienced in running teams and stuff, and I think in the past where they've run into financial difficulty and then it's ended up racking up, and before you know it, you've got this massive
huge amount of debt.
Exactly. So I think he's for the team's point of view, they've done the right thing in terms of pulling out, getting themselves ready, getting some sponsorship sorted for next year, and they've actually spoke to me and Tom, and they've asked us to stay riding for them in the 2021 season in Superstock. And so our sort of rides for next year are there, but they've then let us out.
That's not. Now I'm going to be very honest here. That's not official, but it's very good of them to offer. They've actually offered that up, but that is not like this is definitely happening. Chrissy Rouse is definitely on this bike. Is that the case?
Well, if they've offered us
they've offered it, right?
Yeah,
all
and
right.
then they essentially let us out of my contract for this year,
right?
And basically it's then. I wasn't expecting it. I knew there was issues in that department, and I thought it was a possibility. But as time was going on, I was getting more and more optimistic. And then to get that news, it was actually when I was out mountain biking, and so ever since then, every single night I've just been racking my brains what to do, different options, whether I can get like a stand-in ride for a superbike team for a few rounds, something like that. But as time's going on, I feel like I cannot wait until the last week to try and get something sorted. So I'm at this moment in time, I'm actually looking to get basically run myself, team chasing the racing, and get a bike somehow, and basically put everything. But I've literally got nothing. So I had a meeting yesterday with Mac Tools in Newcastle, guy called Mark, and I'm going to go and see. I don't actually need that much, but just get a few bits and bobs from him. Get myself a little. I've been on the phone to Piggy, and he's making us a list of.
I was about to say,
what I
because
need.
you're good at you won't have a bloody clue.
Me and Pete, and I'm probably on the lookout for one extra person, somebody like sort of hands on that can, maybe. Be like sort of getting wheels and stuff like that, cleaning the bike, and if we have like a little loft to like jump on the spanners and help out, somebody who's like confident, changing wheels and stuff like that, but not too technical. So basically over the next few weeks I'm going to be putting a little team together for myself, and it's you know, it's such a terrible time to be asking for sponsorship, as you know, with all businesses are suffering.
Jeez, yeah.
And I feel almost like you're taking the mick asking people, but you know, I'm going to get in touch with all my personal sponsors and just explain the situation. I'm going to make a spreadsheet of all the fixed costs that I know of that I'm going to have to cover, and basically just see if I can, even if people can help out in small ways. So, you know, somebody covers my brake pads for one meeting, somebody covers, you know, a set of tyres, stuff like that. And together, and with all my personal sponsors, I'm hoping
let's talk figures. Let's talk figures before you jump down to that route.
Yeah, so there's six rounds.
6 rounds. What would you need without crash damage? What do you think you need to run a weekend?
Well, it is.
It's
difficult to say because I'm not actually sure which route I'm going with in terms of. I'm pretty confident that I've got a bike sorted and the use of a bike sorted for the season, with a little bit of help.
If there's anyone out there with a superbike team that needs a rider, please get in touch with Chase the Race.
In terms of running costs, you know, I think some weekends would do 2 races, some weekends would do 1 race. So if you sort of average it out, I'd imagine tyre bill is going to be the most expensive thing for a weekend. So I think tyre bill is going to be between £1,000 to £1,500 a weekend. That's massively the biggest cost. Entry fees are. They're usually $4,500, I think, for the year, but because it's only 6 rounds, they're now 2,200. And then once you've got the tyre bill, that's the main chunk. And then
but you have to run
costs,
controlled fuel as well. Don't
yeah,
you?
control. So fuel for each weekend, say £100. Brake pads be about £180 for a week. Be one like a set a weekend. Obviously, like consumables, a little bit of you know, it all adds up. So it's. Ask us next week on the podcast because I'm going to put a proper spreadsheet together. But I'm looking at basically getting a spreadsheet sorted and contacting my personal sponsors and just seeing who can help out. The good thing about running myself is I'm pretty sure that I'm going to have quite a lot of control over what goes on the bike, what goes on my leathers. So that gives us something to offer back to sponsors. And also we'll be running our own little setup. So in some ways, I think I've done it in the past where you turn up in a little van with a pop-up and you go out and you're challenging like people running out of pit. You're like, you're coming out of this pop-up, go all the way through the paddock up to the top, out on pit lane, and then people are pulling out of pit lane in like a full all the bling. And you're going out and you're battling with them on track, and there's a certain sense. I've been in both positions. I've been going out the garages and I've been going out of the pop-up awnings, and there's a certain sense of satisfaction when it's me and Piggy.
Yeah.
Running. So although it's obviously a massive financial risk for me to take, I'm very optimistic, and I'm really looking forward to whatever happens.
I'm sitting here smiling for you.
Because basically,
I'm thinking we're going to get potato dogs again.
Yeah, exactly. Basically, the option that I've got is, with the team not running this year, I could sit around and wait for 2021. But for me, I think the best way I can be prepared for 2021 and have a good go at the championship is to get some good track time this year, getting more settings for the bike. You've
got Nick Morgan ringing you just there. Look.
Have you actually?
Yes,
live on it. I'll tell you what, right, we're going to tidy up this interview and just he's obviously has he got a link up with a Bluetooth for these bloody things, right?
You're not running yourself, kiddo.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, I'm dead excited, run my own team, Chase the Race, no problem. Next week, episode 60, I'm back on. So I am not a sellout.
To be honest, right now I don't know exactly what's going to happen, but for me, I'll do whatever I possibly can to be out on the bike. I'll this whole lockdown thing has it's sort of made. Although I've already known for a long time like how much I love my racing, by having months of not racing, not going to the track, not doing anything, it's making us realise like how much I love it, how much my life circulates around racing motorbikes, and the thought of sitting around watching bike racing for the rest of the year and not doing it myself is a bit of a no-go for me. And with the help of my personal sponsors, I'm pretty confident that I'll be able to go out and do a really good job. There's 6 rounds. It's a full British Championship, and I'll be doing everything I can. I've been really hitting the training hard recently.
The only way is up,
baby. Physically, I'm ready to go, and it's just a case of I need a bike. And
I need a bike. I need some cheddar. I need some girls in hot pants. We're gonna win. Richard Cooper, you're a bellend. Let's have it. If you are listening, Richard, do love you, mate. Mate. I really think we should just get onto this next interview. Then you can pick up the phone to Nick Morgan and see what he's got. I know I'll just keep looking at this bloody phone, but mate, we just need to get 10,000 patrons, and then we can get a full Chase the Racing team.
He mightn't be able to get an answer. He's going to ring you now and offer you a ride.
He's not that desperate. He's not that desperate. But there we go. But hey, Chrissy, but we have a cracking little interview to put together, don't we?
Yeah, like I say, it might be a little bit outdated because we did it about a month ago or something. But
this one will probably be outdated in about 25 minutes. We'll probably get off, and Boris has probably shut us all down again or something.
Get out the box. Get out the box. You know, we're not having that negativity here. There we go.
So without further ado, over to Mick down at KTech HQ. So great to be down at KTech HQ for the first time, and we're joined by Mick from KTech. I work with Mick at BSB, so did a full season last year and continuing on into what was supposed to be the 2020 season. God. But I tell you what, it's looking hopeful from August sort of time.
Yeah, that's what I've been hearing as well. Yeah, it sounds hopeful, really, which is quite nice.
I can almost hear the fear in your voice there, mind you, like that. The workload's going to go mental.
Well, that's what it's going to be like once the green light goes. It's just going to be nuts because it's like that anyway when it's a normal season, but once we're allowed to go again, it's just going to go
back
sky
to full whiskey.
Oh, it's going to be ridiculous.
So we're down at HQ here, and I've just brought the motocross bike. I think we'll be putting a little YouTube video together so people will be able to see like what you've just done to the old KX450. But just for the
old one, hold on, it's brand bloody new from Kawasaki. You tart. Wait, and he's just put the final touch. You'll be British champion next, Chrissy. That's the pressure.
For the people that maybe don't really know much about suspension and stuff, do you want to just describe what a suspension technician like yourself does through the week and then on race weekends too?
Yes,
and more importantly, the paycheck. That's what I want to know. There you are.
Well,
no.
You've not seen the Reliant Roblin, not them in round the corner. That's the reality of it. It all looks great from the outside.
Oh, there we go.
Fur coat, no knickers.
That's it, exactly. Yeah, precisely. Yeah. So my job. So if you start on a Monday morning, first thing I'll come in, I'll turn the computer on and find out what the next job is that we've had booked in from the previous week. So that could be, Dave Smith with his CBR 600 that he rides to and from work, wants some servicing, service those forks. Or the next job could be from MSS. They want a fork kit going in, ready for your bike that I prepped this year, for example. The job varies so much from us now from, say 10, 20 years ago, where you're literally just servicing basic stuff. The job's changed so much now. There's a lot of tuning that goes on with it all now.
And obviously KTech's massive in the racing industry, not just BSB but club racing and exporting all around the world. What sort of thing? Not like say on obviously I know, but just for the listeners, on a race weekend, you turn up. You've got your KTech truck, all the KTech lads, and you go off to the teams. Obviously, some teams use the Olands, Batubo, and obviously a good few are on KTech. Just sort of give a rundown of what your job is on a race weekend. What's your responsibilities?
So again, when we first turn up at the racetrack, the first thing we do is once we've got the truck set up, the next job is to go to your team and see where you're at. Say if it's first round, you've done your testing, done a little bit of work on that, roughly where the bike wants to be. But once you're at that race weekend, it's crunch time. Then that's when it's really serious and you're looking to find those final little bits. So, for example, with you, it was always little bit of springs front and rear. We always played around with that. It's all we ever changed too much with you because you always had quite a good feel with the bike at its base setting. Other guys, it's not that easy. Unfortunately, they're always searching for something. The trouble is with that, they get too deep into it, and if you're changing the bike every session, you don't know what's normal. You soon get lost. So sometimes you have to bring people back a little bit on what they want doing.
So how many riders would you look after in a weekend? So is it literally you and Chrissy, or do you have several riders in a weekend?
It can vary. When I first started, when I didn't have an assigned team, you just ran around helping everyone. Like, the joke on the truck was when I first started, I was advisor to the masses, because literally there'd be about like 15 people that'd be coming on the truck asking me questions because I'd already helped them out with something, so they want to go back to the same person.
Making it sound like a game show. 2 preload, 2 rebound, give it a bit of compression, and the winner is... Oh, he's off. Shit.
Yeah, that wasn't the right choice. Too much spring preload on that one.
And I tell you what's the biggest misconception that you see amongst, say, like club riders, or suspension's a little bit of a dark art, isn't it? And if you don't really know what you're doing, it's very easy to get sort of led down the garden path.
Yeah, for sure.
What's the main thing that you see people doing and like that don't understand?
The dangerous thing is a little bit of knowledge is really dangerous. That's the real scary bit. Someone that knows nothing is perfect because they don't know anything.
So
you're straight in there. But someone that knows a little bit, they can just go on a massive tangent. Like the basic things that people don't do is sag. Mm-hmm. They don't check sag. They just
give a quick. There's a lot of people listening now that maybe have heard what sag means, but just give a quick description of what. just give a quick description of what it means.
So sag is the bike on its fully extended position, and then it relaxed under its own weight.
So is that off the floor, relaxed? So you have to physically pick the bike up for that?
Yeah, so the wheels are lifted off the floor, and you'll take a measurement from your wheel spindle up to a certain point, and then bring the bike back under its own weight, bounce on it, make sure it's settled, and take that same measurement again. That's a sag figure.
Is that like a starting point for pretty much any suspension setup?
Yeah, that's pretty much like your go-to first thing that you want to do. Once if you've had a bike serviced, your suspension serviced, you've had a kit fitted, serviced, anything like that, when you put it back in, that's the first thing we tell customers to do. Check your sag figures, make sure they're right, because if that's out, it throws a bike out massively. Like I've explained before, we do one of our most popular things that we do is a basic bike setup, so a guy can come down with their bike, we'll run through all those basic sag figures, set the adjusters up where they should be, and we've had brand new bikes at the showroom that don't come with the sag figures correct, and you set those for a guy and he comes back and he thinks you've given him a brand new bike. He's absolutely ecstatic, and you basically just put it to where it should be. Really,
you're like, that's £100 and you're welcome. There you go, that's it. Cash is king, hand it over.
Exactly, that's it.
And what about for people listening that maybe would love to get involved with, like, say, working in the industry, or like yourself, following your footsteps of your career choice? How do you sort of get into it?
It's really difficult, to be honest with you. It's such a difficult industry to get involved in, because people want to go on a suspension school, but there isn't any real schools, and anyone that's already doing suspension, they're busy doing it. Really, no one's really setting up a school for it, because everyone wants to do suspension, but there's so much more involved in it than what's actually, people first thing they think it's just you put these springs in and you put a bit of oil in and it's done. But there's, like, I've been at K-Tech now for nearly 14 years, so I've just been at this place and I'm still learning. There's always new things.
So many variables, isn't there?
Yeah, it's difficult. So you've kind of got to be in the right place at the right time, like I was when I started at K-Tech. You sometimes, unfortunately, just have to fall lucky.
So were you a bit of a rider yourself then? Obviously, I saw your lovely 450 there. So do you like to dabble in racing, or is it just playing round?
I used to, but at an early age, I realised my talent wasn't going to get me very far. So then I looked at, well, what can I do to still be involved in bikes? So and I still ride now. Yeah, love it. I've done everything from motocross, mini moto racing. Raced Scott Redding when he was a kid, and there's a lot of people that I've raced that it's quite funny that they don't know who I am, but I know them from back in the day, like when they started out.
You got any blackmail material that we can use on this podcast? Anything on Scott Redding? Anything at all? Don't be shy. Don't be shy.
I do remember that him and his dad had the same haircut. They had like a shaved head and then just like a big fringe at the front. And one of the again,
that's a strong look.
I remember saying again, I've never seen a haircut like that before. That's brave, that is. And him and his dad had the same one, and it would just be like crazy things again, like paddock talk. You guys have all seen it and heard it. He used to, like, one thing that I always remember that baffled me, I could never understand it, is he said, Scott doesn't like the feeling of a smooth bike, so what I do is I take the front wheel out, put a load of sand in the front bearing so it doesn't quite run right. And again, you're thinking, I don't know, no, that's not right. What are you doing? Like, as a kid at like 10, you're like, that doesn't sound right. What are you doing that for?
Like the smoothness.
Yeah.
Is that a joke? Or
that is a joke. That is 100% true. That was I remember hearing him say that at Priory Park go-kart track, just between Tamworth and Polesworth, which again a track I lived over the road from, so it was a local one. for me. And I do remember him saying that at a race weekend there.
Yeah, that's mad.
Holy crap!
Do you know in terms of like say the lower levels of racing, club racing, and like the mini bikes and all that type of stuff? If someone's like, let's say, if they're doing a Thundersport Championship and they're wanting to take that next step with, you know, gaining a little bit more knowledge with the suspension setup, do K-Tech run a service where you can, like, say, pay for somebody to come on a track day with you and set you back? Like...
Yeah, you can. Yeah, we do offer that, and you can, you know, call us up and we can come out for a day with you, you know, and try and give you a bit more knowledge. But again, it's just you have to be patient with it. A lot of people just want to do it and it'd be perfect everywhere, but especially with the track stuff, everything's just a little bit different at each track. Like you set up for Silverstone will be different to Alton. It does change quite a lot.
And considering you just think you're on tarmac, you think it should just work.
Just work, yeah.
But just geometry, angles, everything, it must be
yeah.
I don't envy you.
And in terms of like for your job to get an optimal setup for a rider, there's lots of means in sort of seeing where you are with setup. You know, you've got what the tyre looks like after a session. You've got the data. If you've got data on the bike, like we've been running, you can go to the track and watch and see what the bike looks like. In what do you find's the biggest indicators of where you are with the suspension?
So for me, again, if we've got data, there's a few first key things I look at. So the first I'll look at a maximum minimum travel. So what we're reaching to and what we're extending to, so I know where the bike's pitching to, and then also mid-turn position, so where the bike's sitting mid-turn. And again, there's measurements that we look for, but they're not always golden rule. You always have to hit that because, again, riders differ so much as well. But for me personally, the biggest thing I like to do is when I'm working with riders, understand the rider. Know what they want, what they're looking for.
The real question is, what's he like to work with? I'm sitting here going, this is fantastic. What do you mean a dream? Piss off. Have a word with yourself. Because he's always the calm, relaxed, toasty or chase the racing. But has he ever chucked his toys out the pram?
To be fair, no. He's one
you
of the...
one eye.
Yeah, I could make something up if you want.
There's another 20, mate.
Yeah.
Keep going.
No, I've come across some riders where I just absolutely lost it, just gone mental. I've witnessed breakdowns, tears, everything, you name it, I've seen it. Kicking stands. I wasn't in a team when this happened, but this was in World Supersport. I've watched a rider come into the pit, into his box, and literally just ghosted the bike into the boarding, smashed all the boarding up, and pick up the boarding to try and stab his crew chief in the head with it.
No way.
I've witnessed that, and it was unbelievable scenes. I was in the garage next to it, and you're like, what's that commotion? So everyone walks out, stick the head round, and you just see this rider chasing the crew chief around with a pit boarding.
There's you trying to run behind him, get a selfie. This is mint here.
It's unbelievable. That is
amazing.
That's World Supersport, but that's like the European guys. You French, you Spanish, they're just nuts. They go crazy for it.
Crazy.
It is unbelievable.
And just to give, not going into too many details, but just to sort of some rough ideas for people listening. Everything in suspension is kind of a compromise, isn't it? You've always got the positive effects and the negative effects, and you're looking for sometimes you'll set a bike up perfect for the tight twisty corners, but then it won't be quite as good holding the line on the faster ones and whatever. But just as a general sort of idea, give it just in terms of the geometry, so how high the bike sits and how low. What's the positives of a high sitting bike and what's the positives of a low sitting bike?
So what you'll generally find, if you've got a higher bike, so say for example the chicanes at Mallory is a good one. If you've got a high bike, you've got a lot of leverage to pull the bike from one side to the other. So say if you've come into a chicane, it's decked right over on the right hand side and you want to pull it back over. Having a high bike gives you a nice big leverage to pull it over with. So that's the benefits of it. But the downside of it, because the bike's so high, in a straight line when you're coming into turns you get a lot of pitch. So again, coming into turns you can load the front a lot, and then you find it quite harsh on the front. You get that real horrible juddering feeling like the front's going to tuck. You get it into the turn, let go of the brake, you want to get on the gas, and it just falls back then, so you get a lot of movement from it. And then it's vice versa the other way when you go lower. Again, as a simple rule of thumb, the bike won't be as sharp, but you can find a lot more stability in a straight line from it as well. So it's a
balance.
Yeah, it's you're always looking for something. You can set a bike up as well for one fast lap. Like full bite the screen, one lap hit, but that's all. You couldn't do a race like that. So again, you always have to kind of bring it back and go, well, what are we looking for? Do we just want one lap, or are we looking to build to do a race distance.
And have you, as well, obviously you've worked at BSB for quite a while. Have you done some road racing as well?
Yeah, I've done the TT and the Northwest.
That, especially the TT, must be really difficult to get. No, when we're talking about a compromise, if you're, say, Brands, you've compromised in between like 5 corners. At the TT, I mean,
264 of them.
Where does like say the setup that we finished with last year? If you go on the TT, is it massively different, or is it similar to a short circuit?
You don't go as far away as you think. To be fair, you do just tend to, especially in the front, you actually come a little bit softer in the front because the bike's flat out for so long. You've got that front wanting to rise all the time, so you're just actually looking to just keep it pretty mellow. And a lot of the break-ins at a high speed, but there's a lot of distance in terms of the break-ins. A real long progressive break, not like a Brands or a Mallory short sharp stabs to get it into somewhere. You're breaking from a high speed to make into another long fast corner. So you tend to just be a little bit softer on the front and maybe a little bit harder on the rear, again just to keep the bike supported so it stays, especially coming up through the mountain section.
I feel like I should be writing this down, Chrissy. I'm going to tell you what, this 135 is going to make Hitman look like shite.
Yeah.
And I take it like as a sort of a trigger word that you just don't. I bet that's like a really. It's like your worst nightmare as a suspension technician. Chatter.
Yeah.
Give a brief description of what chatter is and how you would sort of start about going to dial it out.
Yeah. But to me, chatter's not real. It's not a real thing, really. It's induced by something else. It's just a vibration of frequency in the bike that's caused by something.
So as in, like, you would like say hit a bump and it sets it off, and then it's a frequency.
Yeah, it can, and sometimes it has nothing to do with suspension. It can be clutch is another big thing that comes into it. A lot of guys will say they'll be coming out of a turn, and just before they just engage throttle, and then they get a chatter feeling. It's just actually the way that the bike's set up to engage to induce its power.
It must be really difficult being a suspension technician when like for example, at the beginning of last year, we were having problems with, say, the engine braking, so the bike wasn't turning very well at all. So I'm coming in and saying to Mick, like, why this is, but like I wasn't sure why, because there's nothing wrong with the bike, but it just wasn't doing but that was all engine braking, and once we got the engine braking, bike was turning perfectly. So it's really difficult to distinguish what's this. Do you know what I mean? What's like whose problem? I don't know if you've seen, but on the new Ducati MotoGP bikes, do you know the big fat seat unit? The exhaust comes out one side, and they've got like them big. They look horrible, but the big fat things. That's actually a mass damper, and that's to take away. So basically, do you know when the chassis starts chattering and you get the really bad vibration, there's a damper, like a mass damper in the seat that basically so like, do you know if you've got like a frequency wave, it basically tries to cancel out the frequency wave from. It's mad that, isn't it?
So the Italians have figured out a way to lie to the rider while riding. Well, that is absolute genius.
Well, it's trying to mechanically take the chatter out of the chassis, which is, I think Ducati are maybe the only manufacturer that are like seriously doing something.
There was some poor bloke technician, right, suspension technician in Italy, who was working at Ducati. Went, I've had enough. I have had enough. Someone build something to fix this. That's
exactly,
genius.
But again, as another role as suspension man, the first thing that people will struggle with is the thing they know the least about, which is suspension. And you have to be quite strong and stand your ground a lot of the times. Like we did last year at the start when you were struggling. You remember the conversations that we all had. It's like, no, it's right. It's not suspension. The setup is where it wants to be. But you've got to but also you've got the proof to back it up from the previous years with the same bike. There's a setup. That's what works. It's not that. What else has changed? And then eventually you get down to it and find out that there's sometimes something else that's changed.
Yeah, something as small as that.
It takes nothing. It takes nothing to throw everything out, and that's the crazy thing.
It's so mad as well when you're talking about like you'll do like a click here or a mil change in ride height, and when you actually get a ruler out, if you looked at a bike and then changed the ride height by a few mil, and then it looks to the naked eye exactly the same, but what a difference that can make to the feeling of the bike. It is insane, really, isn't it?
It's crazy, and that's and with some bikes, when you get it in the window, you're in that small window, and you go out of it, and
It's like that with the forks. If you're not getting towards the bottom of the forks, you just don't get that feeling to being able to turn into the bikes. But as soon as you smash through it, and one thing that I've found so odd this year is sometimes we've not been getting the full travel on the fork, and then we've been adding preload. And by adding preload, we've been able to get further down in the stroke. And that sounds like totally backwards. But it's and that's why sometimes I feel like I've got a reasonable understanding of suspension, but I would be totally lost if it wasn't for someone like Mick.
You can easily go the wrong way, and again, it just takes those years of experience of learning those things as you go along, because it's just these things that you pick up as you go along. But also it helps if you have ridden as well, because you can sort of empathise with the rider, what they want or what they're looking for as well, which makes a big difference to it all.
Well, I'll tell you what, you any good at cutting trees?
I could have a go.
Bollocks. Hey, I thought my job was safe there. This lad sounds like you could do everything. There we go.
Did you have a question before we wrap things up?
Yeah. Are you available? Because I want to get rid of him. Get rid of him and get me on. But awesome.
Thank you very much for staying back and sorting the old motocross bike out. Looking forward to getting out on it, and I'll let you know what it's like.
Yeah, no, it's been a pleasure. It's great to come.
Don't ring him.
Do you listen to the podcast?
Yeah.
Spot on.
Yeah,
Well,
I've been listening.
Hold on. Imagine if he went no. He just went, no, it's wasting me bloody time. I'm too busy.
What do you think of the new studio?
It's impressive.
It's cool, isn't it?
It is cool. It's still got that new smell. I don't know how long that's going to last.
Yeah, not long. We're both sleeping in it tonight, so I don't think I'll be smelling like this in the morning.
I'll keep under it just to keep it right.
But seriously, thank you very much for your time and on the podcast, and hopefully when the racing does get started in August, we'll be back starting at Donington Park. So
yeah, it'd be fantastic. Definitely.
Looking forward to that. But take care, mate, and I'll speak to you soon.
Cheers, boys. Thanks.
And take two, because some little squealing kids in the street.
You're a teacher by trade. You literally have just come out the door and bollocks these kids for literally being happy. That is one of the best things I've ever witnessed.
First time in 3 months the kids are playing outside again, and we've had a nasty man come out the trailer
in his flannel shirt, kicking off.
The thing is, these microphones are they pick up everything, so the kids squealing in the street, it was coming through their headphones like really loud, so...
Oh my God! I think we like
Mr. Rouse, honestly.
Mr. Rouse. I know. I feel I'm gonna fail or something here, but we're gonna have to bin these mics off. That you were taking the piss out of me a couple of last week, where you going, "Oh, talking about these new microphones." I'm like, "Yeah, the mint." Now they're causing.
I have to say, I do like your new mics, lads. I think
they are hellish, aren't they? Very much worth bragging about.
They are.
There we go. Mind you, I am disappointed in you though, Chrissy, because I was hoping this little episode was going to get split down the middle and you were going to get on the phone to Nick Morgan there and we're going to totally flip the news. But no, as the forever professional that you are, Chrissy, you're just you're continuing the road and going to carry on this what's the word? Mirage we're going on here. So there we go.
I think he's rushing us so we can ring him back, isn't he? He's rushing us.
What's going on?
Shut the kids up. Get these two on my trailer and I'll ring Nick Morgan back.
There we go, man. There we go.
But I tell you what, I know it was a while ago, but I did really enjoy having a bit crack with Mick, and I was really grateful that he...
sorry, we had an interview 2 minutes ago, didn't we? Sorry, I do apologise.
I was really grateful that he, basically the motocross, the 450 that I've got, it's basically naturally sprung for like a 14, 15-year-old 15 stone person, which is obviously a lot heavier than what I am. So it's... So the springs were very hard, basically.
Sport Young could be good with that.
So it was far too hard. So I can't remember exactly what he did, but he put softer springs in. And I haven't actually been out on a motocross track, but when I was doing enduro at the weekend, it was much nicer feel from the bike. So really grateful for him to do that. And also, I think it was interesting as sort of insight into the sport. Coming to all the BSB weekends and working, but without riding there himself, and it's like a career path for a lot of people that to be sort of suspension technicians working in teams, and it's such a critical part of the team because it doesn't matter how fast your bike is, all the electronics, whatever, if your suspension's not right, you cannot get the best.
And those guys are the ones that are never the ones that get the praise, or they're never the ones that get to appear on. You get seen. They're not the ones that, I don't know, Whittam and Bernick will pick up and say, "Oh, there's so and so from so and so." It's never those guys, is it? So it's nice to hear them.
Yeah, there's a lot going in, and if you think of the setup of a bike and how many variables there is to change to get something that works properly on the fast stuff, on the slow stuff, gives you the right feeling for every rider. It must be so frustrating as well, because I know what I'm like in terms of my feedback, but listening to bikers try and explain like why the bike handling's rubbish, you know, and trying to be constructive about it. You know, it must be a really difficult job. But yeah, I really enjoy working with Mick, and like whatever I do this year, I hope we can continue that relationship. And obviously, he already knows all my settings and everything, so we'll be hitting the ground running if I can continue that. But I just want to mention as well, we had some really sad news this week. A competitor of mine, Ben Godfrey, was doing a track day down at Donington Park and was very sadly involved in a fatal collision going into turn 1. Just thoughts with, you know, his partner, Jordan Bird. I can't imagine what, you know, she is going through right now, the Godfrey family and the, you know, all the team, all of his friends.
And I think a lot of people knew Ben as well. There was he seemed to be always he sent me a lot of club races because I think, did he live near Donington Park? He was always even if he wasn't riding, he would turn up to club races and stuff.
Donington was his local track. He came through the 400 route on club racing. Did a bit of racing with Ali Rouse, Roland Rouse,
he will have done.
On the 400, and Leon Geacock came sort of through with Leon Geacock, and then for years stepped up to Stock 600, and then he's been in Stock 1000 for the last 4 or 5 years. He's rode for lots of teams.
I worked with him at Qingdao actually for a bit. Qingdao with Tyson's lot, and he was really nice. And I remember he was one of only 2 riders who always, every time he wrote a press release or anything with him, he would always like ring you up or text you, or next time he saw you, he'd always say, "Thanks for the coverage, thanks for doing that." And most of you don't bother. I'm looking at you, Dom.
He's
but no, I mean,
I think on the Qingdao bike actually got a pole position in Stock 600 at Open Park, which was a sort of standout result on the 600s. For the 1000s, he always goes great over at Assen. Do you know it's not BSB, it's like the Assen Cup or whatever it's called.
It's all the old Dutch superbikes, isn't it? But whatever it is now.
For the last few years, he always goes over. He's been going over there, and he's sort of dominated that,
hasn't he?
Really? Yeah. And I mean, he's a good rider. Really, he always used to do well at Thruxton. He likes the bikes spinning out of the side, and his bike control was phenomenal. And it's. Just incredibly sad. He was due to be doing the Ducati Cup this year, tri-options, and yeah, well, I mean, just condolences with the family. Absolutely, and like I say, with Jordan, it's proper sad way to start the racing season this year, I guess.
That's it. Yeah.
Have you got much on this week? Have you?
Back to sweeping chimneys, to be fair. So it's just I feel I'm so busy with work. I feel unbusy. You know, it's just all starting to gather up. But I think people are just ready. Well, not ready. People are preparing themselves for the next fall. That's what I feel like. I think everyone's just gone into the bottleneck now, going work, thinking.
Mm-hmm. You've worked throughout, though, haven't you? You worked throughout.
When it was at its peak, shall we say, it was a case of I was getting a couple of days a week, 3 days a week, but then all of a sudden now all the sawmills have opened up. Everyone is going absolutely flat out crazy. All the railway work's picked up.
Well, it's all this rain. The trees have gone. You want to see my petunias in the garden? So I'd like to think what your trees are like. Is that a
euphemism, woman?
So looking at the 2020 season, obviously you've got the CMRC thing at Cadwell Park, and you've got your mini bike stuff. What else is it? Macau is in the pipeline. What else?
Macau Grand Prix on the horizon. Obviously sorting out a new team there, which I'm very excited about. And what else?
Are we still going out to Macau? Are we still going out there? Yeah.
Oh my good God! You don't drink. And my God, you're from Gateshead. So there you go. This is just going to go down a damn treat, isn't it? There you go. You'll end up drinking. And you'll end up... Oh, God. But no, as far as that's concerned...
It'll make a hell of a column that month.
Wouldn't it just? Wouldn't it just? But no, hopefully going to be doing a couple of wildcard entries. Now, I don't know how that's going to work with BSB.
Wildcard entries at BSB?
Yeah.
And is that in the Stock 1000 card?
Stock 1000, yeah. So chuck it right in the deep end, young'un. You know what I mean? So it's... Because qualifying alone.
And what about testing? Have you got any testing on the ZX10?
Nah, nothing. And obviously with the bad news of with Ben and everything like that, I just think people are gonna. Well, no, not people. I think my team never really had an idea of going anyway to testing, you know, because like it's money, like you just said, and we briefly discussed about it's trying to keep the costs down, ready for the following season. And quite frankly, the Davies team don't have that money to go and spank tyres, because the idea is if you're not going to go riding and go fast, their attitude is like, well, why go at all? You know, they haven't got the money just to blow off cobwebs as such.
And they'll not be alone with that. There'll be so many.
Exactly.
You know, apart from, you know, aside from where Chrissy is and what you're saying, I mean, there'll be all sorts going on right now that we don't know about. People will be making frantic phone calls and stuff at every single level.
Oh,
you know,
totally.
At every level.
Really tricky. Just on the Bike Sport News website there's a few. Petrucci has just announced that he's joining Tech 3 KTM as Oliveira moves up to the factory team, which I think that was like a bit of a shock move on it. And Scott Redden is under the
flying, isn't he?
the pole record pace at Mazzano for the testing. Johnny Ray had a crash yesterday but bounced back to a pretty good page. I hope you're not offended that I'm on a.
I was about to say
this isn't really your competition, is it?
I used to be the editor of Bike Sport News magazine.
Yes,
so
right.
Yes, back in the day. I don't mind Bike Sport News. They're very. No, I like Bike Sport, and I worked for Bike Sport News for a long time. And you never say never, because I'll probably end up working for them again at some point. I kind of come and go.
There we go then. There we go.
Just for,
so when does the MotoGP start then? Have they announced the calendar?
The end of this month, I believe. And I should know this because I actually wrote a story for the Daily Star. I was like, I can write a story. I rung them up and says, MotoGP, please come back. I think it's at the end of July.
Right.
And that's just going to run into the bleak midwinter, I think.
No. There we are then. Well, obviously, you've got the southern hemisphere. Let's see. Well, they can. Well, that's the advantage, isn't it? They're not stuck on the UK island here, are they? So it's.
We haven't got any new headlines. Look, we've still got Boris. I never thought I'd see the day we had a photograph of Boris Johnson on the front page of UK Club Sport website.
I tell you what, I'll just mention this as well. We haven't got anything sorted for this, but just a little idea to drop into the cauldron. We're thinking about possibly doing some sort of chasing the racing live event towards the end of the year.
Nicely done.
On the YouTube. Done. I don't know if you can. If you're watching this on YouTube, we've got this helmet that we're getting signed by all of the guests, which will be auctioning off for Macmillan Cancer Support, and also that this will be coming with a signed guest book. So.
The evidence is there.
It's like when you go to a B&B, isn't it? And you sign the guest book.
Yeah. So
full of celebrities.
Along with every signature, there's the picture of the person signing it. So we'll get that filled out over the next, sort of few months. We've also been picking up sort of auction items from each of our guests, which we'll be again putting in an auction for Macmillan Cancer. And basically, we'll just have we'll maybe get like a live band sorted, and we're not totally not prepared for this. We haven't organised anything as of yet.
But it'll be nice to get your feedback on it though, and see how many people would be interested.
Did you have a possible location suggestion?
Brace yourself.
No. Not really.
Not really. No.
The problem is I think we'll have an open conversation about it now. It's a case of, I think, somewhere near a city centre that people can go up and have their weekends, the whole family, drag them all up. It's like a Friday or Saturday evening.
So we're going for a family night out.
Yeah, I would say. But the thing is, half the people are going, well, I've got to do something with the got to get everyone out the door. And you think, well, bring the kids, and everyone can sneak off and come have an evening there, get the nibbles on, get a few drinks.
Get a bouncy castle. Come on, have a bouncy castle.
Oh, I'll never be off the thing. I'll be mint crack.
We've actually got a bouncy castle in the back garden.
Shut up, man.
My man bought one the other day.
Let's go now.
What are we doing this crappy show for?
So I think the idea, if we'll get a live band, we'll get some sort of buffet on. Have charity night with auction a load of things off, maybe do like some sort of live podcast, do a quiz. It'll just be like a good night out, and
all the money will go to Chrissy's BSB season here. So there we go.
No, not.
Hello, Karen. How are you doing?
My mum's asking for a cuppa. Yeah, we'll have a cuppa. All three of us, please.
Your son here has just told off the neighbours. I'm bad laughing, Karen.
So yeah, we'll have a charity night. Obviously, it'll be after the season, so we'll raise some money for Macmillan Cancer. The story behind this basically is that Andrew Lund, who kitted this out, has donated this helmet.
It's wonderful.
And he's unfortunately lost some relatives to cancer, and it was his chosen charity. So we're basically doing it for him and getting everything together and raise some money for a real worthy cause. And if we can all have a good night in raising money for charity, happy days.
Definitely. And if anyone's got any like donations they want to throw in for the charity night, that would be brilliant. Any suggestions for locations? Ideally, the problem is the podcast reaches all over the place, doesn't it? So I think possibly in the middle.
Definitely going to have it in Europe.
Yeah, somewhere in Europe. There we go. But
we travel every weekend to be near everybody else, so they can come to us.
I would like to. I would personally like to have it in the northeast.
Yeah.
You know, I would personally like to have it in the northeast. Come and
have
a taste of
bit of northeast hospitality.
What
Where
about
you never leave.
What about, because campsites are going to be open from the 4th of July? If we're not too late in the year and it's not too cold, how about having an outdoor one? So where people bring the wellies and have an outdoor band.
That'd be class.
And in like a sheltered area, and people bring the tents, and it'll proper family thing. And
I'm talking.
Suggestion.
That's it. Any
Herbertson pulled a face. He didn't like that, did he?
I work outdoors every bloody day.
It's not all about you, Dom.
I want a roof over my head. No, but I do like your shitty idea.
Think of the
You know what I mean?
children. It's not all about you.
Do you think we'll do this before Macau or after Macau?
Before.
We'll get this arranged for before Macau.
I think definitely before, because obviously it's
over probably by next week on the podcast, I'll have much more certain plans of what I'm going to be doing this year. And if anyone who would be interested in having a look at the spreadsheet of the fixed costs that I'm going to be, please just.
I've got a wicked idea for a night out. Grab a glass of wine and have a look at my spreadsheet.
I'm not talking about the charity thing, man. I'm talking about me racing this thing. But by next week on the podcast, I'll have a much better idea.
It's possibly the quote of the year so far.
Oh, pet.
Do you want to have a look at my spreadsheet? It's like those synthesexes.
Oh, God.
Oh,
my God.
How pet, do you like jewellery?
These are a couple of gems.
Right, on that classic note, I think it's time to wrap up this podcast.
I'm going to go and look at the spreadsheet. Are you coming, Dom?
I haven't written it yet.
I bet. Oh my, that would actually work for you. You're one of them irritating people that could just talk yourself into any situation. So I've done this spreadsheet. If you want to get yourself around.
But
my God,
I'm really optimistic that I'm going to get something sorted, and hopefully I'll be at round one on whatever bike with probably running myself out of an awning.
Okay,
with Piggy.
so let's. Basically, are you only aiming for stock 1000 class?
No, if there's a superbike standing would be fabulous.
You wouldn't go super sport. Someone said, right, Chrissy, I've got a super sport bike for you.
Do you know what, Dom? I've never actually been on
I get told off here. Telling the kids off the spreadsheets and I'm getting bollocking here.
I havenn't been on a 600
You've never done
since
No,
I've not been on a 600 since 2015. So I feel yes, the last one I was on was a super stock bike in things. So it's not really my gig, the 600s.
Fair enough.
You never know, I might jump on one and be competitive.
I always thought you were a good.
What I know. At the end of the day, if you put yourself in one corridor, you're only going one way, aren't you?
Well, I think.
I'm sure if someone came and offered you a super sport ride, you're not going to say nope. I'll refer to my spreadsheet.
That's what I'm saying. But
I think of myself as
if someone like Gearlink or Mard
Appleyards.
Appleyards,
and said, Kennedy's, he's already off, isn't he? He's off on a different but anyway, someone said that is a championship winning bike in Supersport. You would obviously take that, wouldn't you?
Well, I don't want to be sat at home, but my goal is to be out on a big bike.
Yeah, cool. If you don't ask, you don't know, do you?
Mm-hmm.
So it's one of those.
And,
full of, here we go.
Yeah, so looking forward to that. Are you out on the O'Valley anytime soon?
I'm trying to think. So it's CRMC. When's that then?
I'm only asking because I want to go.
Oh no, hey mate, more than
11th and 12th of July.
11th and 12th of July. So CRMC. God, Bennett. So no, try and get on the pit bike and try and get out on the Ovali as well. And no, yeah, it's all.
Here's
it's
me
all
man
go.
with the coffee. So on that note, I
We'll
think let's wrap
close it
this up.
down. We'll close it
So
down.
thanks very much for listening, and we'll
Zoe.
catch.
Chocolate bars
Should
as well.
be back next week. The pod, we'll get one sorted.
Yep, we'll
And,
squeeze one in. We'll try and get a guest
Catch
on
up soon.
and go
Zoe,
from
thank
there.
you very much for joining us.
Thanks for
and,
having us in your little
your addition.
cabin lair thing.
Studio, man. Studio.
Mobile studio. Thank you for having
Before
me.
my mum drops the coffees, we'll
Yeah.
wrap this up. Thanks very much, everyone. And
Cheers, thank you.
Big thanks to our sponsor, Easy Grip, as well.
Yes, thank you very much, Easy Grip. You're a bunch of superstars. We'll catch you soon.
Catch up, and big thanks to our patrons. Catch you soon. See you in a bit.
See you.